All right. Good morning, everybody. It's morning here on Saturday. I'm Eliza McLaren, Associate Head of School, here with Matt McCormick, Head of Upper School, and Booth Kyle, Head of School. And we're here today for a special weekend edition of Creek Conversations. We have a couple of topics on our agenda. This will be a Q&A format, looking at some campus updates, some health and safety updates, and then more information about the Upper School Orange Plan that we released earlier this week. So thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. And Booth, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Eliza. Hi, everybody. And yeah, we're happy to be doing this. A lot's happened this week with us. Just getting the school year off to its start. And as many of you know, we made an adjustment to our Orange Plan for the upper school. We wanted to take the time to explain a little bit of that. We did have a Creek conversation this week on Thursday, but it had been reserved for our college advising office. And they had the opportunity to meet with our seniors that day and talk about some important stuff relative to college placement. So we're glad to be here, and hopefully this will be about 15-20 minutes, and we'll be able to answer some important questions about what's evolved this week. So it was fun this week. It's great to have the students, quote unquote, back, whether we've been able to be with them live or in a virtual setting. It's been invigorating for all of us who've been at the school with empty classrooms and empty hallways for too long. So it's been nice to have the students back, and it seems like they're off to a good start. I want to share an important update that is it's important for the community to understand that all this is happening, because it does impact our planning, particularly for the upper school, in whatever phase we're going to be in. So many of you know that we have a goal to unite the campuses and bring the lower school campus over to the upper school campus with our campus unification effort. And those of you who were involved in the community last year will probably remember some of the plans and the fact that we were going to do some building down by the athletic fields as part of that. So I'm very excited to announce to you all that the plan for our indoor tennis dome is in full motion. And if you drive through the upper school in the next days, weeks, you're going to notice that there's a lot of activity down there. The tennis dome should be up and operable by the end of October. And it's a significant development for our campus unification effort, for our athletics program in general, but really significantly for this year, when we're operating in a moment where space is really important, and we're going to try to use every inch of space that we have. So I'm going to switch over here and just show the picture of the tennis dome so you have some context. There we have it. And it's going to cover 4 of the existing tennis courts. The tennis courts that exist there now will still be usable. And we'll still have 6 courts overall. There'll be a surface on top of them called Sport Court, which is a multi-use sporting surface. So the interior of the dome will be lined for soccer and volleyball and some other sports. So we're going to get a lot out of it for our athletic program. I'm particularly excited for our volleyball and basketball teams because they're going to have more courts to practice our school indoor sports on. So that'll be a huge add. I think there'll be lots of opportunities for after school sort of training in the dome. And it's just really exciting development. So more apropos for this year, we're thinking that when the dome is up, we're going to be able to utilize the space to spread out. And it's possible that we could host the space, or use the space to host instruction. It's possible that we could use the space to spread out and eat lunch. It's possible that we could use the space to set up sort of study hall type environments where kids could be doing their half virtual day on site in the dome, and have it be supervised and safe and all of that. So really important, significant development for us, and can't wait for it to be up. It will be very non-disruptive while it's being erected. No one has to be concerned with not being able to use the fields or traffic or anything like that. It's going to be very sort of seamless from that perspective. And again, I think it'll be up by the end of October. So relative to the rest of the campus unification effort, we're going to be sharing lots of updates in the coming weeks. We have a plan to start sharing more about the overall effort in the first week of October. So look for some information about that. I guess that's my introductory update, Eliza. Do you want to start with the questions? Sure,
that sounds great. It's so exciting, Booth. I can't wait to drive up the driveway and see that. That's going to be really terrific. And thanks. I know a lot of hard work has gone into that, so thank you. Booth, first question is for you. You mentioned in your letter this week that a 5% positivity rate would be very concerning and could cause a move into our red status. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about the metrics that we're watching closely, and what would precipitate an immediate shift or a more anticipated announced shift in our color status?
Okay, sure, yeah. So with the help of our medical advisory, we've developed these metrics that I'm happy to say that subsequently were adopted by the state government when they rolled out their plan for public school reopenings. So the two important metrics are the positivity rate, the test positivity rate, and then also the number of cases per 100,000 residents in our county. And statewide, we can keep our eyes on that as well. Prince George's County as well, since we have some residents there. So again, positivity rate and cases per 100K, those are the two important figures. The medical advisory group has advised us that a 5% positivity rate is concerning. We haven't been at that level in Anne Arundel County for some time now, but that is a bit of a threshold for us. One thing to note relative to that is that if one day the 7-day rolling average jumps above 5, that's not a reason to move our color status. I think we'd want to keep our eye on that if that happened on one day. But if it was a sustained number above that 5% line that had other indicators telling us that it probably wasn't going to move for a while. That could be the cases per 100 number in Anne Arundel. That could be the cases per 100 number or positivity rate in the state. All of it's really kind of a soup. But again, if it was forecasted to be sustained above 5% for a while, that would be very concerning, and would probably have us have to move to a more virtual red status. So that's the long and the short of it. But I'm really grateful we have the medical advisory group. They've done great work for us and really are helping us stay sort of rooted in the science of it all, and they help us make really good decisions.
Great, thanks. Building on that and recognizing this is a bit of an impossible question to answer given the dynamic nature of things, but if you had to anticipate right now what Mod 2 color status might be, or what are your thoughts around that? How are we planning?
Well, so here we are on September 14th, so we've got about 3 weeks until Mod 2. Right now the metrics are sort of squarely orange. So if I had to guess, we should plan for orange for Mod 2. And given the trend lines we've seen from the past weeks and months, I think that's sensible. I'm an optimist at heart. I hope that beyond all hope that we can move to yellow, but we're going to do it, based on what we see at school and using those metrics that I referenced.
Great. So with that in mind, it's particularly important that we all understand the upper school orange model. And so Matt, moving to you, I know we sent out that schedule chart for the new orange starting on September 28th. Can you walk us through that chart and the house system and who's on campus when?
Sure. Let me do the universal phrase here about sharing my screen, and we will pull up what that looks like there. So hopefully everybody can see that, the upper school orange graphic here. And just to sort of lay this out, we've divided the upper school, all grades 7 through 12, into 3 houses: House 1, House 2, House 3. House 1 being letters A through F, House 2 being letters G through N, and House 3 being letters O through Z. Each house will get 4 half days on campus. And you can see there on that graphic, House 1 would be on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. House 2 in the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in the AM. House 2 would jump around a little bit with Monday, Tuesday in the morning, Wednesday in the afternoon, and Friday in the morning. House 3 would have Monday afternoon, then 3 days in a row in the morning. This gets everybody on campus for half a day. You see there the times along the left, 8:30 to 11:30. So we would ask drop off to be between 8 and 8:50, excepting 7th and 8th grade support students can come a little earlier and meet virtually with their support teacher if they want. That's pretty much what the schedule will look like in Modified Orange.
Great. And then looking at a by day, if you're in House 1, what does your Monday look like? What classes? Where are you for each of your classes?
Sure. So if I'm House 1 and I'm coming in, say on that Monday, I would get dropped off before my 8:50 class. We have carpool procedures that we're working through now, almost totally finalized, but you'll get those very soon. But you would get dropped off, go straight to your 8:50 class and wait for its start at 8:50. You'd open your laptop, you would get your anything that you might need. You would also bring your headset, which is going to be a requirement if you're on campus, and you'll figure that out here in a second. You'd have your class at its normal time, 8:50, all the way through until your advisory period. At that point, you would stay put, and you would have your advisory period in the morning virtually. Then what that does is prevent more transition time. And so then you would transition to your second class, the beginning of your B block for that day. Again, we have some dismissal protocols in place for the transition time. You would work until 11:15, at which point we would begin the end of the morning carpool dismissal routine, and then you'd be on your way. Hopefully get home in time for the beginning of the second half of B, which would be virtual for you in House 1.
All right, and if you were a completely virtual student, you're staying at home all day, what does that look like?
Correct. So if you are a virtual student, you'd be staying at home much like you are now. There wouldn't be too much different from a virtual perspective, except for when teachers are face-to-face with their students. It would be much like the lower school experience right now, using the technology of Crestrons and Candows, which allows the teacher to sort of be much more interactive, and it will actually simulate sort of everyone being in the class at the same time. Everyone being able to participate, more of a sort of a hand-raised discussion situation, much more akin to face-to-face for everyone, and what we were all used to in a quote-unquote traditional class.
Great. I think one of the confusions that I heard was if you're in House 1, you still have your classes in the afternoon on Monday. You just have those virtually just like you do now, so the schedule's not changing.
Correct. When we say half day, that means half day face-to-face, still a full day of education. Yeah.
Great. Terrific. And how are we ramping up to this? How are we preparing our teachers and students for it? And what's the schedule like the week of the 21st?
Right. So I have a second graphic here that is the ramp up for September, the week of September 21st. And first thing you may notice is that it's different than the first version that we sent out. That's because we had to sort of defer to the SAT that's happening for our seniors on that Wednesday. And we also have to do some work on our water systems to make sure that it's up and running and ready for all of us to be here in person. So this is different than the first graphic that was sent out. It's updated, so please make note of that. House 2 will be on.
Show the graphic, Matt. I think it's the same one you had it before.
Oh, really? On my screen is showing the new one. Let me see if I can.
Maybe try stop sharing and then resharing.
How about now? Let's see. We'll reshare, and we will do this. How's that?
That's perfect.
That's it.
Okay, and you can see my cursor?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I will go back and sort of start over and remind everyone that this is different than the original graphic that was sent out. You'll notice that House 2 is now Thursday AM, House 1 is Thursday PM, and House 3 is Friday PM. And so with that, everyone will come in. We will practice the carpool protocols that you will get more definition on this week. And everyone will get used to wiping things down and the transition time and working virtually together in the same room for advisory if you're in the AM here, or for your X block if you are in the afternoon here in 1 or 3. And this will be much more about practicing, much more for us to learn too about what works, what may not work. Keep in mind we're all doing this for the first time together, and then we'll move on to the regular orange schedule that was up there a little too long a second ago.
Great, thanks. Question, can a family switch houses if they're letter C? Can they join house 2 instead?
No, the houses are set up really to keep families together, to keep households together in houses. There is one exception, and that's for house 1. If they do want to experience an afternoon, they can come in the afternoon for one day. They can switch for that day. That would be on a requested individual basis, but otherwise there are no exceptions. We just can't switch houses, mostly because of occupancy and the rooms. We've really been very careful about which classes are in which rooms. So the numbers are worked out very carefully.
Great, thank you.
I'll just interject for a second there.
Yeah.
You know, we've really paid attention to the 6-foot distance piece, and we're really not budging on that, and that's why the occupancy thing is so significant.
Great. Matt, can a student choose to be virtual for a day or for a week? How does that work?
Yes, absolutely. So the one nice thing about the flexibility of all this is that a student can stay home that day. Our attendance system is able to take, you're present, which means you are there physically present with a teacher, with their peers in a room. You are virtually present, which is the obvious denotation, or you're absent. So really being virtual or being in school from an attendance perspective is pretty seamless. The one exception would be if you choose to be virtual for an entire mod due to the occupancy numbers that we've figured out. If you choose virtual for mod 2, you need to remain virtual for mod 2 because getting materials to students, if they're a week on, week off, becomes a bit of a logistical issue. Great,
thanks. And what about if a family chose to be a virtual learner for mod 1, which, the week of September 28th is kind of part of mod 1. Can they come that week? And what about when are we going to ask them to make their decision for mod 2?
Yeah, so the decision, the request for the decision will come out probably later this week, and so we'll need to know that within the next 2 weeks. But we'd like anyone deciding to come to campus starting on the week of the 28th to come to that orientation ramp up, starting the Thursday of that week of the 21st.
Okay, great. And I think if a family was virtual for mod 1 but wants to be in person for mod 2 and wants to do that ramp up, we should talk about that because we do have some density. We can make that work, I think, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Great. Okay. Drop off and pick up. The logistics of drop off and pick up.
Right.
What considerations and adjustments are being made for families who have a lower school student that they have a drop off for, and what about for families who have a long commute for whom that 11:30 to 12:30 time isn't enough to get home, eat lunch before they start their third period class or their second half of their B block? Right.
So being pretty sensitive to this stuff, especially for our support students. But so one thing I will say is with the arrival time being between 8 and 8:50. We've had, of course, upper school faculty with lower school kids teaching up here starting at that 8:50 time, and they do their drop off and come here with plenty of time to spare. So we know that isn't an issue. 7th and 8th grade support students can be dropped before 8 o'clock as the support teachers will be here ready for them virtually. So that will, the morning there is not too much of an issue. the middle portion where we only had 1 hour, 11:30 to 12:30, we knew that could be some time where travel could get in the way and affect some things. So we're going to shave synchronous time on either end of that 1 hour. So teachers will be asked to stop synchronous work at 11:15 and put 15 minutes on that side of that hour in the middle of the day, and then we'll shave 15 minutes at the start of the second half of that B block. So that would make that 12:45. And really, given the limits on synchronous and asynchronous time, there's really no loss of instruction there. It really just allows more flexibility for travel.
Great. I think that'll work really well. Booth, question for you. For our students who are participating in afternoon athletics, or for families for whom a middle of the day drop-off pickup is really inconvenient, is there a possibility of staying through to athletics? What are our thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think I may have referenced this before in my earlier comments, but relative to the dome. But we do want to have the opportunity for students to stay around if they so choose to participate in the afternoon program. And looking forward, we don't want the afternoon program only to be about athletics. We want to introduce other opportunities as well. So as an example of all that, if you're in a house that's meeting in the morning and you would like to stay through the day so you can participate more seamlessly in athletics or anything else in the afternoon, we'll have kind of a supervised kind of study hall situation where you could easily do your virtual coursework. We'd again set things up so we can spread out and eat lunch in that case, and you could be at school all day. The dome will be really valuable in that regard. I think the gym will also be really valuable in that regard.
Do you anticipate that starting the week of the 28th?
I would guess it'd be more like the second mod, so maybe the by the 5th. But we all need to talk about that to make sure we plan for it appropriately and make sure it's set up properly.
Great. Yeah, I think the ramp up periods are so important, to learn all of the protocols. So it does present a bit of an inconvenience, but we do hope to get there pretty quickly, which will be great. Matt, thinking about health and safety a little bit, can you talk about what it will look like for a third of students to be home and 2/3 in school, why we made that choice, and also what teaching and learning will look like in that?
Sure. Well, as Booth said, the occupancy of each room is really the definer here. We really had to stick to the health and safety protocols and CDC guidelines and all of that. So again, what is really exciting for our upper school teachers is listening to the lower school teachers and talk to them about how it really has been fairly seamless, and they're actually getting even more creative and finding it, dare I say, sometimes even better in some cases to have them in both places and be able to do sort of two different things with each students, with this different sets of students. So yeah, having 2/3 in school and 1/3 at home, of course, is not anything we want, but we will have everybody face to face, at some point in the rotation there. So everyone's really excited about that possibility.
Great. And if I'm a student, what are the things that I need to do if I'm coming on campus to make sure I'm following the health protocols?
Right. There's going to be so much to think about for students. And it will become, it's like learning any kind of new habit. But from the second you get out of the Magnus app, of course, is first. We'll have to report in the Magnus app. You arrive. When you step out of your car, you have your mask on. You keep your distance. We will check to make sure that a student has done their Magnus app. If not, we do have protocols around that, but hopefully they've completed their Magnus app prior to arriving. We have dots on the floors everywhere so everyone's reminded, and they're 6 feet away, so everyone's reminded of the 6 feet distance that has to be kept. We have a pump in, pump out policy in all the rooms. So you pump in with your washing your hands there with the sanitizer, and you pump out. We will have the protocols in place. When you step into a room, you go, if you're the first one in there, you move and you fill in the back. So first one would be the last out and vice versa. Using the restroom, we have protocols in there, no more than 2 in the bathrooms, and we have a pretty simple and easy to use and recognize bathroom policy using Post-it notes. So there'll be a lot, but again, we're going to be together and walking through that lower school and feeling that energy. I can't wait to have that happen.
That's great. Thanks. Thanks, Matt. So related to the health and safety pledge, of course, this would never happen at Indian Creek, but what if somebody were to violate the pledge? What happens there?
Right, so we sort of treat that sort of as any other disciplinary matter. If someone is uncomfortable with something they've seen in our community or seen on campus, the first person they should go to, just like anything else, is your advisor, and they will guide you through the process. Perhaps it will pretty quickly go to your grade level dean. Again, if you're 7-8, that's Carol Mercer, 9-10, Tanya Montgomery, 11-12, Doug McQuiston. And then, you know, we'll do sort of the typical investigation. Sounds like a heavy word here, but we'll figure out what happened and go from there on an individual basis. Especially when it comes down to the spirit of the pledge is really what's most important, and really us taking care of each other in that way.
Great. And one more question for you, Matt. When will more information, there's a lot here, how will it be shared in terms of all of the details with students and families?
Sure, so you'll get my typical beginning of the week email. That will focus largely on back to school night, but we'll preview some of this modified orange. But everything you should receive on Wednesday will explain all of these protocols, from carpool and arrival to in classroom to the bathrooms to when you leave. You'll get all that on Wednesday. So I'm sure from there will be questions, but look for it this week.
Great. Booth, Matt, anything else you would like to share?
I'll let Booth wrap it up, but I just want to say that I'm excited. I know that this is a lot and it's overwhelming, but again, thanks to our lower school, our lower school experience and them sort of, you know, pioneering the way here. We know it can work. We know we can do it well, and we're going to be together, and I'm really excited.
I'll echo that. I'm super excited, Matt.
Yeah.
Count me in. Me too. And we've made a lot of progress as a school. It seems not so long ago when we welcomed the faculty back, and everyone was trying to sort out how to do all the protocols. But really proud of the faculty and staff for embracing them so quickly and helping the students get off to as good a start as we've had. And I'll just kind of back to the pledge comment from just a few minutes ago. It's just really important that we don't take our eyes off the ball, everybody. If you pay attention to the medical experts, this is going to be a thing for some time. And we want to make sure that particularly when we're all on campus, that the campus is as safe a zone as it can be. And it's new territory for educators to be making decisions about teaching and learning relative to health and safety protocols. But we're aware of it, and that's how we're approaching this school year for all of us. And anyway, I'm glad that we can start to see more of each other. For those that we will still be seeing virtually, we're going to do everything we can to make that as outstanding as possible. So no matter your mode, we're ready to do some great work with you.
Great. All right. Well, thanks so much, you two, and have a great rest of your weekend. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Okay.
You too.
See you
We'll
later,
see you.
Bye bye.